November 14th, 2015. Dear Diary, I do not know how long it has been since I've experienced my last surge of brilliance. You see, I'm an established author, albeit a published one, renowned to most for my fictional writings in dystopian novels. I have published a whopping number of 23 books. 23, with my last book, My Last Child, being God's Rapture. Arguably my best work and the one most questioned, discussed and sought after by reviewers around the world. Critics were bittersweet, both harsh and well. And as much good attention as my last work had garnered, she drew enough bad ones to match. While I know that the book, written based on the Bible of God's Christian rapture, had indirectly made a mockery out of extremists and devout believers of the religion, I had no intentions of incurring your wrath, my dear God. Lord, have you forsaken me? Have you taken away what you had blessed me with since birth? Have I not been loyal to you? Not a day went by that I missed a day of church. Not one Sunday I'd spent, that I spent outside the house of the Lord, your house. Never mind the harsh, cold stares my fellow churchgoers had been giving me. Well or unwell, I had always been there, praying to you and only you. I do not know if my questions would go unanswered. Questions I've been asking, every single day for the last 5 years, without a single paragraph written nor a book published. If I had offended you, my Lord, I pray for your forgiveness so that I may have what I once had, once more. I pray that I do not have to end my own life to meet my Maker, you, to figure out my answer. I'm at my wit's end. November 21st, 2015. Dear Diary, a week had gone by to no avail. After my 20th confession in the booth with Father Willoughby, to seek forgiveness and redemption, I have shown no progress. Father Willoughby is convinced that this is not the Lord's doing but my own. This is a matter of the heart, Mr. Langley. I'm afraid I cannot help you, he said, though I'm very much convinced otherwise. I've spent twice the amount of time meeting therapists after therapists with no results to show. Antidepressants, mild sleeping pills, sleep therapy, vacations, time-offs. I've tried them all. How could I, J.K. Langley, one of the greatest writers alive in the 21st century, have lost all of my inspirations in just one day? I have never been this lost since Linda died in the car crash 8 years ago. God, you've taken everything from me. The love of my life, my family, my writing. What more do you want from me? I've done it all right. I did everything right. This just doesn't make any sense. I refuse to accept this. I just can't. I cannot. God, if you have condemned and turned your back against me, please, just show me a sign. I beg of you. December 5th, 2015. Dear Diary, I have stopped writing you for more than a week now. True. It's not like I have anything to share. And it's not like I have anyone else to read you. But the therapists did say writing journals will help inspire me once more. It did not. To date, I have written over 20 diaries, each with words far lesser than the ones before. Now, I can't be bothered to write about anything else anymore. Without writing, all else in my life had become mundane. 2 days ago, I met up with Antoinette once more. Some lady I once met in New Orleans last year over the Mardi Gras celebration. I wouldn't have remembered her had I not written about her in one of my other journals. As it seemed, writing diaries do make a difference after all. I don't normally disclose personal information about myself to anyone. My fans and enemies had long known that I live in a life of seclusion. But there's something about Annie that made me trust her. No, it's more like I want to trust her. Perhaps it's because I have no one else. Long story short, she was convinced that she had another way, a workaround if you will. A way for me to regain my lost self. I'm to meet her, first thing tomorrow morning in the coffee shop 2 blocks from my home. She wouldn't disclose the real details as to how she intend to fix me. Only that it is something unchristianly. I jumped at her offer as soon as she gave it. It's Sunday tomorrow, and it'll be the first time I skip church in a long, long time. If my God wouldn't answer my prayers, maybe her God would. December 6th, 2015. Dear Diary, indeed, What Annie recommended had been truly unorthodox. Today, after breakfast, she brought me to a few friends. We met at their place, an enormous mansion that I didn't even know existed up north in New Haven. And I've lived here practically all my life. I was lucky. Or so Annie had claimed. Her friends, a group of them, are a huge family of friends. I don't even know that people have that many siblings in a family no more. But they were 7 siblings, and they were only here for the week. Normally, they'd be out traveling the world, but this week out of all weeks they were here. When I needed them most. Could this be fate now? Surely God wouldn't arrange this for me. Would he? I'm convinced he wouldn't. Because he is a jealous God. And what Annie and her friends had offered were gifts from another God. One they all worshipped. One that would reward his true followers. I've always known Annie was rich. She is. And the siblings were far wealthier. More so than anyone I've seen. This Sam Deal is one of the many names their God were known as. Sure, it's a mouthful. But if he's willing to grant me the joy of writing once more, I am his. Of course, nothing is free in this world. Everything's got a price. I'll admit the moment they mentioned the price, I was a little put off. But as it turns out, their price could be my just reward. They wanted me to write a sequel to God's Rapture. Tomorrow midnight, they will perform the final ceremony to welcome me into their circle. I've been promised that I will see changes the first thing after. And I trust them. Again, I have to. December 8, 2015. It's nothing short of a miracle. Dear Diary, I am writing again. 50,000 words in just half day. Even in my best days for the last 10 years of my career I had not achieved this. I've personally read it through again and again, and I know I've outdone myself. It's come back. I can feel it again. The words, ideas. Everything just seemed to flow so smoothly out of my mind. The ceremony had been a success. And for the price I had to pay, to undergo the ordeal had been worth it. I'd do it 10 times over. Although I'm not in the liberty to divulge most of what I've underwent, I'll still write in some details here, to remind me of what I had to go through in order to get it back. To get this back. The ceremony had taken place in the large yards not far from the mansion and lasted for nearly an hour. For most parts, they were borderline grotesque, demeaning, and insufferable. Had I not the resolve to press through, I would have failed. There were parts in the ritual that I had to consume the blood of a snake. Yes, a snake. And I had no idea if it was poisonous or if it would kill me. Annie and Rufus had convinced me that it was perfectly safe, and this was a secret religion in practice for over thousands of years. Hence the crudeness. So I thought to myself, if they had done it, and some people in the past had done it and lived to carry on the ritual, albeit a disturbing one, who was I to say no? I needed their help. In all account, I knew that if I turned-tailed and walked out of there, I won't ever get to write again, and that was worse than dying. So I drank it, along with other various substances, herbs and insects. The herbs were bearable. The insects nearly turned my stomach inside out. It took me everything I had to chew and swallow the blended assortments of creepy crawlies. Which brought me back here. Back home. And I'm writing again. So, God, no thanks for your help, that's for sure. I won. Hail this Sam Deal. December 10th, 2015. Dear Diary, I was at the 100,000 words, in near completion of my book when shit happened. Lucas, my old mutt, the only real fucking family I'd ever had ever since God took Linda away from me, died. He was a 5-year-old Labrador, an age that was neither old nor young to all dogs. I don't understand. The night before I went to sleep, he seemed perfectly fine, but this morning, I found him foaming from his mouth. Cold and dead. I wonder if I'll ever see him or Linda again when I die. We do, after all, serve different gods now. At any rate, I have just sent my manuscript via email over to my longtime editor-in-chief, Robert. Once he clears it, we should be able to get the book out by early next year. December 12, 2015. Dear Diary, strange things had started to happen. I woke up to find all the plants I have inside my apartment dead. All brown, dried and shriveled up. I don't understand what's going on. These past 2 days, I've started hearing voices. Whispers, really. Around my apartment. Could these be the extended side effects of what I consumed over at the ritual? I sure as hell hope not. I told myself it could be because of my lack of sleep ever since I got back. I realized as I took the time to write this, I had been awake for the past 5 days maybe, and I barely slept. I do not feel tired at all. To clear my paranoia, this morning I dialed the number that Annie gave me, in case I needed to talk. She didn't answer. I left her 5 messages. Whatever it is she's caught up with, I hope she comes back to me soon. Because weird shit had started happening. At any rate, I need to get some shut-eye. December 13th, 2015. Dear Diary, my attempts to sleep last night failed. I could not get a wink of sleep. Not even one bit. But that was not the slightest bit disturbing compared to what I endured in the wee hours of the night. At 3 a.m. in the morning, my apartment was literally flooded with water. Water that raised up to my ankle-height high. I discovered the source of the flooding, and it wasn't coming from my apartment. It was coming from George's, my longtime neighbor's side of the apartment. Well, he was a devout Christian and all, so we did not get along well. At least after I published God's Rapture. I used to be on good terms with him before that. It was a time when Linda was still alive, and we'd spend time having dinners together every once in a while. So I knew where he'd kept his spare key, underneath his flower pot, outside his door. His flowers had died too, by the way. Using his spare key, I unlocked his front door and entered his apartment. And I headed straight for his bathroom, the source of where all water was coming from. His entire apartment had their lights off, say bathroom. When I got there, finding him dead in a bathtub overflowing with water. His eyes wide opened, bulging as they stared blankly into the ceiling, his pale, swelled and wrinkled skin. It broke my heart. And I think it broke my gut too, because I threw up anything and everything I had. The cops arrived half-hour later, along with some paramedics and all. They were too late because George had been long gone. I had waited for the police to question me that night, to explain about the incident that took place. But they didn't. Heck, they didn't even knock on my door. What had truly happened? Why George had been in the tub in the wee hours of the night in the first place, I do not know. What I do know is that something is terribly wrong. And I am partially responsible for it. December 14th, 2015. Dear Diary, God's Rapture 2 was supposed to be my redemption. It features yet another fictional character that was meant to personify Jesus. I named him Samuel, the Messiah of the 21st century. In this book, Samuel was supposed to lead the people of Earth into salvation. He was supposed to be the hero that fought off the evil Nephilims that were unleashed upon the Rapture in Book I. So imagine my fucking surprise when Robert sent me his review over God's Rapture 2 and it turned out, apparently the fucking opposite. Robert swore up and down that this was the copy I had sent over to him. And he was right. I went back to my mailbox and checked the history of my sent items. Guess what? As it turns out, I apparently wrote a version of God's Rapture 2, the total opposite of what I'd intended, without any fucking idea when I wrote it. How the fuck did this happen? Something was wrong with me. Fucking wrong. December 15th, 2015. Samuel will rain chaos upon earth. 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 This Sam deal. This Sam deal. This Sam deal. Sam is devil. December 17th, 2015. Dear Diary, I blacked out for 2 fucking days in a row. I had no memories or recollection of what or when I wrote the past 2 days ago. And as it turns out, I have sold my soul to the fucking devil. Whoever wrote that in my diary, I do not know. But I do know who trashed Jonathan Keith Langley's apartment. Me. My fucking self. There must be some mistake. I did not willingly serve the devil, did I? December 18th, 2015. Dear Diary, as it seems, there's no 11th hour for me now. I tried to make things right yesterday. I tried to leave my apartment to get to my church, to beg and beg and beg for forgiveness. I literally couldn't. The elevator had apparently malfunctioned. So I took the stairs. Each flight of stairs I will return to level 23, my own level. I had no idea how long I tried to leave. I had probably been walking at the stairs for hours. And at some point, somehow I blacked out again. The next thing I knew, I'm sitting right in front of my desk, staring into a manuscript I did not write. Later that evening, I went out from my apartment again. I knocked on every single door of each and every one of my neighbors. To no avail. Nobody would open the door. It was as though there was no one home. So I went back to my room and I stood at my balcony for the next 2 hours, screaming my lungs out for help. I was hoping that the residents of the apartments across the street would notice me. They didn't. There were cars driving past the driveway 23 stories below. But they were all inside their cars driving so fast that I wouldn't blame them even if they couldn't hear me. Even if I were to shout until my voice broke. Then I spent the next few hours, contemplating on whether I should take that plunge to freedom. And since I'm here writing in this fucking diary, it's obvious that I chose not to. December 19th, 2015. Dear Diary, last night, I left another voicemail into Antoinette's mailbox. I told her that I had finished the manuscript, which I did. I had hoped that she would have some explanations for me. I can't give up now. There must be something I could do. 30 minutes after the voicemail I left her, the bitch decided to call back. And the conversation that transpired was weird, to say the least. It didn't feel like I was talking to the vibrant, cheerful Annie. She sounded the same over the phone, except she sounded fucking monotonous. Me, tell me what the fuck's going on. Me, what the fuck did you do to me? Annie, is the manuscript ready? Me, yeah, it's ready. You won't get it until you explain to me what the fuck's going on. Annie, good work. We will be in touch. Me, I'll burn it now unless you... dial tone asterisk. She hung up on me. December 24th, 2015. I blacked out again. The only way I know that it's already Christmas Eve is because of the calendar on the lower right corner of my laptop's monitor. But hey, at this point nothing freaking surprises me anymore except the person who woke me up this morning after I'd blacked out. It was Antoinette. The bitch had the nerve to show up in front of my doorstep, demanding to enter. And she did not come alone. She came with a group of other people, the 7 siblings, friends she apparently introduced me to along with many others, none of which I know. The peephole of my door was small and I only saw Annie, so I did not realize that they were behind her until after I opened the door and all of them came pouring in. Heck, they're all still here as I wrote this. The 10 of them stood in my living room, with unfocused eyes, dazed, almost blissful looking even. They stared at each other with a sinister smile on their face. It's insane. It's fucking insane. I can't get them to leave. I tried screaming and threatening. Boy, I've tried. I even tried calling the authorities. If only my phone worked. The line wouldn't go through. I don't even know why I'm writing this anymore. Perhaps this could be the last way for me to vent out my thoughts. For me to be still. Frankly speaking, I don't feel like myself. Not anymore. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. December 25th, 2015. Dear Diary, this will perhaps be the final entry, the last piece of my own thoughts, my own free will, written into a cheap $5 notebook. Well, what do you know? Annie finally told me what was actually going on. It's funny, you see. For whoever unfortunate enough to read this, I'll have you know, you've been reading the journal written by a dead man. I'm dead. Yes, as if that's not clear enough for you, let me repeat that. I'm fucking dead. I had been dead ever since the ritual took place. They, all of them had been dead too since the ritual. So, as it turns out, The devil needed an apostate to write his version of the Bible. And today, December 25, 2015, as if done in mockery of Jesus himself, the devil had unleashed his own son to wreak havoc onto earth. As I write this, I'm witnessing hell on earth from my fucking apartment. No, I hadn't been in my apartment all these while. You see, the reason why I couldn't leave my apartment was because I'd been trapped in my own hell. I can never leave here. Once I'd realized the truth, I finally see my reality for what it truly is. The illusion of which I once had, that I was still in my apartment, had vanished. All the windows around my apartment shattered. My entire apartment had been shambles. Everything, and I mean everything, were ragged messes of charcoals. Every fucking thing I once had been burnt beyond recognition and are now covered in black-colored mold. Tables, chairs, all my furnitures. Everything. Everything except this notebook, all gone. So here I am, sitting just right outside the windows, watching a sea of bright red, blazing amber lava engulfing the world. It's funny, you see. I wanted to be different. I wanted more from what my truly pitiful, short human life had to offer. I challenged God. And I'm now in hell, as nothing more than one of the billions or maybe trillions of tormented souls. I wrote this journal without the intention of letting anyone read it. Now I wouldn't mind. Because if you have the privilege to read this, you're like me, a fellow tormented soul, forever trapped here in hell with me.